folks. Hope your Thanksgiving weekend was good. Thanksgiving was good for you. I know it's Tuesday and I'm a little late wishing you that. Well, I'm back. Welcome to the Bearded Vaping Guy channel. I, of course, didn't mean to hit the table so hard. I, of course, am the Bearded Vaping Guy. And, yeah, I got an interesting video for you today. Over the, as I said in my vlog last week, that I was going to go get a mechanical mod and get into mech mods and RDAs. Well, I finally did it. Finally went and got me a mech mod and an RDA. What I got here is the Nemesis clone, and on top of that is the Doge RDA, or Doggy as people call it. It's got a I think a 0.38 ohm build in it. I'm still new to this, and that's kind of like what my video is going to be about today. I'm going to cover in two separate topics: basics on RDAs and basics on mechanical mods. And this video today is just going to be basics on mechanical mod. Let's have a vape. This is why I love sub-ohming and mechanical mods. I'm still getting used to that. I'll try to get in a minute. What I'm vaping on today is something called the King from a local vape shop called Crazy Vapors. It's one of their elite dripping series. Phenomenal e-juice, and I have to say that for everybody that was telling me get into mech mods, get into RDAs, the flavor is better, you can really taste your e-juice and such like that. My gosh, I have no idea what I was missing. I've been vaping steadily on this Nemesis and this RDA since last Black Friday or Friday, and holy cow, I mean, it has opened up flavors galore in e-juices. I had to get a bunch of my e-juices nicotine levels dropped. We'll talk about that in a second. Let me try that again. I guess I was excited. That is awesome. So let's take this Doge off, this RDA, and like I said, we're going to cover an RDA basic video. It's going to be kind of like a tutorial in a later video this week. So I'm going to take this RDA off, and we're going to look at some mechanical mod basics. What I'm talking about today is just what I know. If you have anything else to add in the comments and such below, feel free to do so. It's still smoky in here. I love this. I was vaping it over the weekend, and my dad actually told me to stop. He said it's getting too foggy in here. And when you hear that from a guy that's been smoking for 30 years, that it's getting too smoky, that's amazing. Okay, so yeah, this is obviously a mech mod. Let me take it apart right quick so we can discuss basics. Now, not every mech mod is created the same. Kind of like people, not all are the same. We all have different attributes, but most of what I'm going to tell you today is what all mechanical mods have in common. Basically, a mechanical mod is pretty much a tube that you put a battery in. This right here is called a VTC4 battery, and I got it because I wanted to get into sub-ohms, but this is a pretty good battery. It is a 18, what is this? It's a 18650. Okay, so I wanted to get a 18650 so that way any build that I wanted to put on the RDA, if it was sub-ohm or above, I knew the battery could handle it. Battery safety is extremely important. If you put a coil that out, the load of it is bigger than what this battery can handle, and you don't have proper air ventilation to keep this battery cool, it's going to explode. Okay, and I'm not talking about pew, it's going to explode. So yeah, common sense. When you get into mechanical mods, make sure that you have good batteries. I think this is, I want to say Sony makes this one, but I'm not sure. But it is a, like I said, an 18650 battery. Now, all mechanical mods are going to have a switch. Okay, this is the switch from my Nemesis that I'm going to redo, but all mechanical mods have a switch that looks like this. Okay, now some of them will have one spring in it, some of it will have a double spring, and some of them will have magnets. It all depends, and then some of them you could upgrade, like this Nemesis right now has a switch upgrade. I don't know if I'll call it an upgrade, but I guess it is, where you could put 2 magnets in it and you won't get that little clanky sound. But it's so annoying. But anyway, the button on these are pretty much all the same. Some of them will be flush to the bottom. Some of them will protrude like this one does. It protrudes out a little bit, so that way you could push it upwards. All of them have, although it's a different kind of material, all of them will have, I hope everybody can see that, all of them will have these contact pins, these bottom contact pins. This one, for example, is a silver-plated contact pin. It'll have an insulator that goes around the contact pin, so that way when your battery sits on this pin, the outside of the battery right there, part of it will sit on that insulator to keep it away from that firing pin, and when you push the button, obviously, that firing pin is going to be exposed. That center pin, I'm sorry, my language is off. As I said, I'm not an expert on this at all. This is just basics that I have come to understand from watching other YouTubers and from playing with my new mechanical mod. But anyway, so when you press that button, that center firing pin is going to go up. It's going to hit the bottom of the battery right there. And take the top off here. Your RDA will sit on this top cap. As you can see, there's a smaller center pin right there. So when this pin is pushed up and hits the bottom of the battery, which this is the negative side, I'll talk about that in a second, but when it hits that negative part of the battery, this positive part of the battery is going to touch this center post, or this pin that is your RDA is attached to. So that enclosed makes a complete circuit. So yeah, it makes a circuit, and the circuit, the electricity flowing from the complete circuit heats up your coils, which then heats up your cotton, which then produces the vapor. So yeah, so that is the basics of these switches. Again, some of them are designed differently, but they all have springs, one spring, double spring, or there can be magnets in it. And they either protrude like this one does, or they will sit flush with the bottom of the mechanical mod. I'm sorry that I'm off. Next part is this thing right here that I'm taking off my Nemesis. And this right here is called a it's called a safety ring, or I call it a safety switch. People have different names for it, but what this does is that there's, at the bottom of this tube that is your mechanical mod, there's threading there. I need to clean that up. But anyway, there's threading there. And this ring will adjust up and down to prevent, hold on, let me screw that in. Let me screw my switch in a little bit so I can demonstrate what this does. But anyway, this is kind of like an anti-firing ring, and if I wasn't making this video, I can think of the natural name that is called for it. But what it does is that when it is screwed down, it stops your button from coming up and making a circuit, the full circuit, so that way your RDA and your battery are not completely firing and it doesn't overheat. So yeah, every mechanical mod has this. They are different in the way they work. Some of them screw up the thing, some of them screw down, and then some of them will screw down past the button. I've seen some of them like that. Some of them will screw down past the button, so that way when it sets, it just sets flat on the ring. And then again, some of those, like I had said earlier, with the bottom or the button will set flat, so that way when you set your mod down on the table, it just sets flat. You actually have to go in and push the button from up under. But this is obviously a safety feature, and it is very important to have one of these because let's see, the other day I forgot to lock it, and I set it down on my computer table, and next thing I know, there's tons of smoke coming out of it. So don't forget about these. When you are done vaping off of it, roll it down so that way it's flush with the cap, or whatever your particular mech mod requires, so that way you don't have your coils burning up or an explosion going on. Next thing, this is the gold Nemesis, 24 karat gold plated. It's starting to get some patina. I don't know the word that people use, but starting to get some patina on it. And anyway, be careful when you're using that locking ring. There it is, that's what it is, it's a locking ring. Be careful when you're using this locking ring, because you don't want it to cross thread, because if it cross thread, you're in a world of difficulty to try to get it to go back on right. Now, we've covered the locking ring, we've covered the switch. Let's cover the body. Again, wipe that up there. Again, these mechanical mods are nothing more than metal tubes that we put batteries in. However, they do adjust to different, anyway, they do adjust to different sizes for different battery size. Again, the way I have it configured now is at a 18650 mode. This particular one came with a extra set to make the length longer for extra batteries, such as a I'm sorry folks, this is 18650, but you could also do what is called adding a kick to it, which increases the power. They all come with extensions to make the battery longer to accommodate different lengths in batteries. So yeah, that pretty much covers the body. But yeah, again, maintenance on these is fairly simple. After you do it, what I've been doing is taking not a soapy wet rag, but like a rag that's somewhat damp, and I wipe everything down. Okay, so that way it still keeps off any fingerprints, because I'm trying to get this finish to stay as nice for as long as possible. Now the next thing is this top plate here where your RDA will sit. Okay, and they all have a center pin, as I said, that's either going to be silver plated, copper plated, brass. There's millions of them, but and some of them have a floating pin. This one here, and what that means is that this bottom part of the RDA will make contact with that pin there, so that way when the circuit is complete with the battery, this will fire. So anyway, they have some of them are spring adjustable, so that way when you screw your atomizer in, or your RDA, which is the same thing, but when you screw it in, the pin will adjust. This one right here, you could back this little silver screw out some. Okay, you back it out just enough, and then you take your RDA and you screw it. Again, being careful, you don't want to cross thread anything. You screw it in slowly, and while you're screwing it in, when you hit and it gets snug, you take your fingers and you adjust it back in finger tight. Now this pin, the silver plated pin, is in contact with that bottom pin on your RDA, so that way you can make a complete circle. Some of them, like this one right here, have this little tiny ring on top for adjustable airflow. Matter of fact, let me take the RDA back off and show you that. But it is important that you have airflow in these tubes also to keep that battery as cool as possible. But anyway, this particular top part has an adjustable ring around it that pops off. I'm not going to try to pop it off, but anyway, it adjusts so that way there's extra airflow going into your RDA and down to your battery. And again, that's the inside of it. As you can see, the bottom part of that pin will screw up, hitting the pin that's at the bottom part of this atomizer, and it makes a complete connection. Now, again, I'm just putting that back on, making sure my pin is finger tight against my post. Don't over tighten anything. Now, let me take a drink. Next thing that is important, these batteries right here are not like your simple batteries that you find at Walmart and stuff like that. These are specialty made batteries. They're rechargeable, and one of the most important things when you get your setup is getting a good battery charger. What they recommended to me was the Trustfire multifunctional charger, and then it's got a patent number. That's what it looks like. But anyway, it comes with two settings for lithium batteries and the other kind. I can't think of the name. Like I said, I'll make another video. So the more I do this, the better I'll get at it. So yeah, this charger has an area right there where you could plug in the electrical socket. Thing will come out, but anyway, it plugs in right there and then plugs into your regular electrical socket, or it has a DC setting. AC. Anyway, it has a setting right there that you could buy, so that way you could also run this particular charger in your car. It gives you right here, on the back, gives you the patent number, the model, the input 100 to 240 volts. And it gives you some equations right there. Again, I'm not going to go over all this to bore you, but anyway, the way this works is that, again, as I said earlier, these batteries look kind of funny. One on the bottom part is completely flat. This part right here is kind of flush with the top of it, but it protrudes a little bit. So this is your negative in the completely flat part at the bottom, and that is your positive. So you never want these batteries to completely die. As soon as you start getting weak hits from your Mech mod and such, you want to go ahead and swap them out. I recommend to always, like the guy told me, to buy 2 batteries. Okay, because these things, it takes them a little while to charge, and you got about 3.5 to 4 hours of vaping off of them. So make sure you buy 2, so that way you have a spare, so that way you can rotate. So on this particular charger, it gives a diagram there. It's got a minus. This is the correct way to hold it, I'm sorry. But anyway, it's got a minus at the top, plus at the bottom. It's got 2 lights to let you know when it's charging. When it lets you know it's on by the light being green. When you put a battery in it that is close to dead, when you put it in there, it will turn red. And when the battery is done charging, it will slowly turn back to green. Now, I noticed this the other night, and it kind of freaked me out. I put the battery on there, and I've been charging for about 20-30 minutes, and I went over there and looked at it, and it was in between color. So that freaked me out. I started looking at my owner's manual to make sure I hadn't boogered anything up. All it was that it shows these lights right here at the top will be in different color stages during the charge of the battery. So anyway, so it's simple. you take the battery like so, you put it in there like that, you push up on it, and it will pretty much accommodate anything like that. It will adjust so that way it fits in there snugly and you cannot take it out. So yeah, get yourself a good charger and good batteries, and like I said, VTC 4s or VTC 5s from what I heard are the best batteries. So anyway, let's put this back together right quick, and I'll have a little vape on it again, and we'll talk about what we've talked about. Again, I am not an expert at this. This is my first mechanical mod, my first RDA. I'm not an expert. If there's anything basic, that people should know when purchasing a mechanical mod or an RDA, please, by all means, comment in the comment box below. If there's anything that you want me to talk about, I will gladly do that. When you get this thing back together, always remember the positive goes in first. Your positive is what they told me is what needs to be touching the RDA. So when the battery's in there, then you take your switch, push it in there, screw it in there. Try not to do it real slowly so you don't cross thread anything. And then make sure your locking ring is floating. Right here on this one, it's got another little air hole beside the battery, so that way, again, more safety. You can never be too safe for these. The difference between these is that the battery, the power, excuse me, my mind is all over the place today, but these are unregulated. So when that circuit is complete, you're getting the full force or the full volts that the battery has in it, as whereas in your regular Egos and stuff like that, and your box mods even, they have chips in them to regulate how much battery force you're getting behind it. So yeah, be careful with these. They're very intimidating, but they're fun at the same time. Let's have a vape on it. After you put it back together, I like to, now I'm using, some people hold them like this. I'm doing for now as Ruby Roo called it, the Cali Claw, the double Cali Claw, which is where you just simply put it right there like, I don't know, you would a second chopstick. Take these two fingers, put them on the button, and you press it. Make sure she's firing good. Oh, another thing, like I said, what I'm vaping on right here is called The King from Crazy Vapor. It's one of my local vape shops. I'll put a description of them. This is also where I got this mod, and the RDA I will link so you can go check out their website and their information. But anyway, an important thing to remember is when you get this, because you're getting full power off the battery, everything burns a little bit hotter than what it would in a tank and a Ego and such. So that multiplies nicotine. So what you have to do is, like right here, I got this at 3 milligrams nic level. That will double it, so it puts it about 9 milligrams of nicotine, which for this right here is nice. It won't blow my head off, and I won't get dizzy and all that. So yeah, keep that in mind also when you get into mech mods. Yeah, again, I think that's great too, is that I get that much of excuse me, my dogs are outside and they're barking. I want to make sure nobody had rolled up on me, but anyway, this is fun. Be careful, be safe, ask questions when you go and get some. You can order, of course you can order mechanical mods and stuff like that. This Nemesis is like a clone. From what I know about clones are just about as good as the original. They're just cheaper, okay, and that's fine with me. But when you get a mechanical mod, whether it be a clone or original, make sure you take it and have it checked out. Go ask questions. Don't just throw a battery in there and go at it. Make sure you ask questions to people that have been doing it longer than you. So yeah, as I said a minute ago, there's my sister. Say hey.
Hey, I'm doing something.
Hey, she's doing something. Anyway, okay, don't need details, but if you have anything you'd like to add to this video to newbies out there such as myself that are new to mechanical mods, or to anybody that is just getting in them, if you have any information or some rules of thumb or some wisdom to pass along, leave it in the comment box below. Later on in the week, I will be looking at the Doge to discuss certain things that all RDAs have in common. But like I said, not everybody's built the same, but there are some things we all have, such as eyes and fingers and such, or noses. Wow. Again, that's a mouth to lung hit. I mean, a straight lung hit. I've been working on them. So yeah, maybe when I go over the RDA things next week, I will have a review next week that just looks at this Nemesis in more detail, and the Doge next week. But yeah, I wanted to do this video to give some basics on RDAs that I've noticed. Again, I can't illustrate enough. Be safe with these things. They're awesome. They're amazing. They put out tons of vapor. Again, if you've been in mechanical mods for a while and you got something you want to tell people, or some rules of thumb that I may have left out because I am human, I will forget things. Again, comment in the box below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Share it to all the social media. Share it to your Facebook, Twitter, whatever. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Google+, and Instagram. And again, all those links are in the About Me section. But make sure you share, comment, subscribe, and look forward to seeing you again later on in the week, but hopefully not too soon. And remember, get you an RDA because it steps up your vaping game. It makes you look cool. Let's have a quick vape. Sit down and have you a vape.